Are we facing our own extinction?
Yes, we are. The extinction is whether you're going to become aware or not aware of who we really are. And if you follow in today's footsteps of most people's belief systems, they're in a lot of trouble. But when you understand who you really are from a biological and spiritual point of view, it changes everything. Knowledge is power.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation. If you've ever wondered if the world's gone mad and what in the world to do about it, then do we have the Biology of Belief show for you. Today, I'll be talking with Dr. Bruce+Lipton, best-selling author of The Biology of Belief, winner of the Goy Peace Prize, and the creator of a beautiful short on the Titanic. And that's just what I want to talk with him about today, about whether we are on the Titanic, if the ship's going down, and if so, what we can do to save ourselves. So welcome back to the show, Bruce. Are you ready to shine?
Michael, I am so happy to be here with you and our future generation right there who's going to take over. So she's going to get a great foundation. So as a leader, I could rest easy.
So before we dive right into things, I can't believe I'm going to ask this, particularly having Hannah Bear here. Are we facing our own extinction?
Oh, yes, we are. And it's like, well, that's bad news. And then I said, well, there's also some good news. And you say, where's the good news? And the thing is this, if you know where we're going, then we can actually get ready. So when we get there, you'll realize how you can walk through all of this stuff while everybody else around you is going, ah. And it's like, why? Knowledge is power. And what you offer here, Michael, in your series of programs is the knowledge that people need to know. And I'd like to offer some self-knowledge, biology, self-knowledge, which self-empowerment.
You mentioned when we get there, we'll be able to know what to do about it. But if we get there and we've gone extinct, isn't there nothing to do about it?
The extinction really is whether you're going to become aware or not aware of who we really are. And if you follow in today's footsteps of most people's belief systems, they're in a lot of trouble as the future is coming. But when you understand who you really are from a biological and spiritual point of view, it changes everything. And this all is really premised basically on the first thing, quantum physics. And you go, quantum physics, that's a crazy one. I go, yeah, but first principle in quantum physics established in 1927 by Max Planck is the mind is the creator of all matter. And all of a sudden it says quantum physics recognizes that everything is energy and that we're living in an illusion of what we call matter as being physical, when in fact matter is a form of energy as well. Everything is energy. And the factor that influences that energy in your life is your consciousness. And according back to 1927, that's what's creating your life experiences. And I go, wow, that was a long time ago. And then I go, in a more recent issue, and this is the most prestigious scientific journal on this planet, Nature, there was an article by a quantum physicist called The Mental Universe. And recognizing that everything is energy, then this is the last sentence. I tell people, you don't even have to read the article. Just read the last sentence. I go, what is it? The universe is immaterial, meaning it's all energy. The universe is immaterial. It's mental and spiritual. Live and enjoy. I said, oh my God, that was written in a most prestigious scientific journal, spirituality, consciousness, mental, as creating our life experiences. I go, well, that's quantum physics. It's not philosophy. This is science. And it becomes important then is, where's your consciousness? And this is the big problem we face in the world today, because you may not know where your consciousness is, and we'll talk about that.
This brings up several key considerations. I guess we get to take one at a time. First off, we are treating this world in a very real way, even without realizing it, as if it is immaterial, as if it doesn't matter. And that seems to be a challenge in and of itself, because the big picture question is, how did we create the mess that we're in? But it seems to have to do with that word immaterial.
The big issue right now is The movie The Matrix, a lot of people say that's science fiction. I go, no, the movie The Matrix is a documentary. What do you mean? Well, it starts out with the premise that everybody's been programmed. From a biological reality, that is the fact. Every individual human is programmed from the last trimester of pregnancy, meaning 3 months before birth, up until age 7. We are being programmed. The child's brain is ramping up. Okay, it doesn't get into full consciousness until around 7. So I say, well, where is it before 7? And it's in a state called theta. Theta is characterized as imagination, and this is why kids, under 7 mix the real world and the imaginary world. I always talk about the famous tea party where you pour nothing into the cup and then you drink the nothing, and that was like the best tea you ever had in your life. Or you're on a broom and you say it's a horse, and your mother looks at you and says, "Give me the broom," and you look at her like, "What are you talking about?" Because in your theta mind, it's really a horse. So theta is this imagination phase. And that goes up to 7. Now comes the most important part. A brain is a computer. Now, I'm not saying it's like a computer. I'm saying it's the most advanced computer that we are moving toward, but we're not there yet. That's why this artificial intelligence is messing, but can't duplicate this one. And I go, why is it relevant? As a brain and a computer, then it also shares the functions of every computer. And basically, go back in the old days, you'd buy a computer and take it home, and you push start, and the screen boots up. And then I say, okay, now do something. And in the old days, you go, oh, no, I can't. I say, you got a brand new computer. You go, oh, no, not until I put programs in the computer can I use this computer. I go, oh, human brain. From the last trimester of pregnancy, the screen is booted up. But now the brain is functioning in a state called theta, imagination, but theta is hypnosis. And I say, why is this relevant? And the answer is so profoundly important. It is simply this. How many rules does it take to be a member of a family? How many rules does it take to be a functional member of the community? You have to learn the rules. I go, well, a child under 7 is not going to go to school, read a book, be in a classroom. And I go, well, nature took care of that. And I say, what? They put the child in a state of hypnosis to observe the parents, family, and the community, and download what? Behavior, which are the rules. Okay? So you look at your parents, and you're not just looking at them, you're recording behavior. And you look at your community and you see how they operate, and you have to record the behavior. So why? Now you have a program to engage. Okay? So the first 7 years is program. Okay. Then after program, you get to use the keyboard. And I go, what's the difference about the keyboard? Well, that's where the data goes in. Then you get to type what you want. I go, well, that's great. And then I go, so wow, why, if what we want is like, ask anybody what they want. Well, more or less everybody wants the same thing: peace, happiness, safety, relationship, good job, health. They want. I say, how come the world doesn't look like that if we're all creators? I go, why does the world look like?
And now more than ever.
Okay, and here's the answer. Now, so get ready, because this is the most important part. Yes, you've been programmed, but you can be creative because your conscious mind has imagination, and whatever you can imagine, you can start to create. And I go, great. I go, what's the problem? Because if we're all creators, then where's this problem of the world? I go, conscious mind. Imagine just for a moment the body is a vehicle with a steering wheel. When the conscious mind, that's the latest evolution of the brain, is engaged, it's the creative mind, and it'll take you to wishes and desires. So,
that makes
conscious
sense.
mind, I can drive to where I want to go. And I go, oh, yeah, but conscious mind can do something else. And I said, what do you mean? Instead of looking out the window, the eyes, it can think. I say, look, Michael, today is Thursday. Tell me what you're doing on Monday. And in a moment, without, it's not written anywhere, in a moment, I know you'll come up with an answer. I said, then where did you get that answer? He said, oh, I thought about it. I go, aha. And I say, what's that mean? I say, when you're thinking, you're not looking out because the thought is on the inside. So I said, so what does it mean? Well, the conscious mind's creative, but it can think. I said, yeah, so what? Well, scenario, you're driving in your car and you start thinking. You're not looking out the window. I said, why? You're thinking. And I go, well, oh my God, you mean you're not paying attention? I go, don't worry. Subconscious programs are autopilot. I go, what does that mean? Whatever you're not paying attention to, the subconscious has habits. It knows how to walk, talk. It knows how to drive the car. And I go, so why is this important? Well, first of all, the subconscious is 90% of the brain. And guess what? It's 1,000,000 times more powerful a computer than is the conscious creative mind. So I say, so, and I go, now, the biggest picture of the trouble of the world is this. We think 95% of the day. You're not creating your life with your conscious mind. You're creating your life with your programs. I go, yeah. So I say, but when you play these programs, you don't see the programs. I say, why not? Because you're not looking out, you're looking in. So whatever program is being played, yeah, it came from your subconscious database, but 60% of the programs that we play are disempowering, self-sabotaging, and limiting beliefs that we were downloaded with. I go, so why is that important? I go, then 95% of the day, fact, you're thinking.
Makes sense.
Only 5% of the day are you creating consciously what you want with a small processor. 95% of the day, your life is run by programs with 1,000,000 times more powerful processor, and you don't see the program. Why? Because you're inside thinking, and therefore you're not seeing what's coming out. And I go, so what's the point? Well, if the majority of the programs are disempowering and self-sabotaging, then what do you think is happening all day while you've been thinking? You've been playing programs that have undermined your power. I say, why? Because we got the programs from other people. If they had a problem, we downloaded their problem. So I'll give you an example. I grew up in a family. My father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship. I go, so what? And I say, well, I'm copying because I'm being programmed my father, and I download his behavior. You know what? 45 years, I couldn't get a relationship. I go, why not? I never realized that I would be playing my father's behavior, not my wishes and desires, but I was playing a program that I didn't even see that upset everything. Why? It was dysfunctional, and I didn't see it. Why? Because I was thinking. So a simple thing I've been saying in like 40 years, you have a friend, you know your friend's behavior very well, and you happen to know your friend's parent. And one day you see your friend has the same behavior as the parent. So you just got to go, hey, Bill, you're just like your dad.
How do we snap Bill out of autopilot then?
Bill doesn't even know he's in autopilot. Nobody knows they're in autopilot. How many of you already know you've been in autopilot 95% of the day? Not until you know, oh, why knowing is important? Knowing is power. Knowledge is power. And I say, yeah, but the most powerful thing is self-knowledge. And I go, well, let me turn the phrase around. Knowledge is power.
Yeah.
A lack of knowledge is a lack of power. What you don't know has disempowered you. And you didn't know it because no one ever told you about it. And now biology and quantum physics and the new science of epigenetics recognize the most powerful thing. That quantum physics consciousness is creating your life experience is biologically expressed through the science of epigenetics, where your consciousness is controlling your genes, your health, your vitality, and your life. And I go, but this is what quantum physics is saying. I say, yeah, now biology says the same thing. And I say, so you're creating your life. And I go, yeah, but are you creating it with your conscious mind? I say only 5% of the day. And I say, then why am I having a problem? I go, parents had a tendency to be like a coach on a sports team. If the player isn't doing well, the coach doesn't go, oh, please do better. No, the coach says, that's not good enough. Who do you think you are? You don't deserve to be on this team. Of course, an older child now is conscious when hearing that goes, oh, he's talking about me not being good enough. I'll work harder. Okay, that was the intention. When a parent does that to a child under 7, the child's not thinking, the child is recording. I said, it says, you don't deserve that toy. You don't deserve this. You're not lovable. You're not good enough. Whatever the criticism, they wanted us to be better, like the player on a sports team, but they're totally unaware of the fact that you're not thinking, you're recording. What'd you record? I do not deserve. I'm not lovable. I'm not this. And I go, well, why is this important? I say, that's a program. And then I say, so why is that important? And the answer is, you are playing that 95% of the day. I'm not deserving, for example. I said, what does that mean? Well, if I'm not deserving, then my behavior has to reflect that. I go, what do you mean? What if all of a sudden I was awarded being the best this and the best that and the best that? And I said, it would conflict with my program. My program is not deserving. So here's another, put it in a box, important phrase. The function of the mind is to create coherence between your belief and your reality.
Coherence between your belief and your reality.
Yeah, so if my belief is I'm not deserving, what do you think my mind's job is? To give me stuff? I say, no, make it true. I say, so what? The program will cause me to do things that will lose my ability to what? Deserve. I'll screw up. I go, what are you screwing up for? I said, it wasn't your intention. 95% of the day, your program says you do not deserve. What if you got stuff? It would blow the program. So basically, your mind manifests the program. And I go, oh my God. Then parents didn't know when they were being that critical coach.
Yeah.
That they were saying things that their child didn't mentally, consciously comprehend, but they downloaded. And then 95% of your life is not coming from the creative consciousness, it's coming from the programs. And most of those programs are disempowering. And I said, and you don't see it. And I go, where's the big problem? Right there. Here's the problem.
Okay.
The conscious mind's creative and said, I wanted to be okay. I wanted to be healthy. I wanted a great job. I want a great relationship. It's not working. And I say, then what do you think when you say it's not working? You say, that person interfered with me and this person did that and this, and all of a sudden I'm a victim. I wanted to be those positive things, but I'm a victim. And I go, you didn't see all day long the behavior you were playing was to be the victim. And then you are the victim and you go, wow, but you didn't see any personal participation because it played when you were not conscious. And what you were playing was not what you really want to be. And then, so let's go back for just one moment to the Matrix. The Matrix, there's a red pill. Like, oh, you can get out of the program. Falling in love is a red pill. Because when you're falling in love, you stop thinking. I go, why? What do you mean? You stay present. I say, why? I said, you've waited for this person your whole life. They show up. Now's the time to think and not be here. That's crazy. You stop thinking. You stay in the present moment. And guess what? What did you manifest? A honeymoon. And I said, what is a honeymoon? Heaven on earth. You manifested that. And I go, that was not an accident. It may have lasted a week, a month, a year. How lucky you can be to hold on to it.
Yeah.
Here's the problem. Why does the honeymoon end? And then I say, you were programmed, you fell in love, red pill, cool. And then at some point down the road, you start thinking a lot. I go, well, what happens when you start thinking? And I go, then your behavior is not yours. Now you're playing the programs. I go, so why is that a problem? I say, well, since most of them are not really good programs, your partner, you never played those programs. Why? You were in love. You were staying in the conscious mind. That's what it's all about. No thinking. And then when thinking starts coming back in, you do not see that much of your conversation is not coming from the creative mind. It's coming from the program. You're not yourself. You're the program. So the idea about it is the honeymoon is always the best part. Why? No program. You're creating, just as quantum physics says. Your mind is creating this thing. I say, when you stop thinking, your mind's creative ability manifests heaven on earth. I say, how long did that take? I say, a day. I said, all of a sudden, your life changed in a day. And I go, so what was the point? That was always available. You could have had that honeymoon experience your whole life. I go, yeah, but why not? And I say, your program was off. I go, so what? I go, you can rewrite the program. I go, what happens then? you can take the wishes and desires of your creative conscious mind and make them programs in the subconscious mind. Like, so what does that mean? 95% of the day you could be doing something, but 95% of the day, the program that you will be behaving is the program that is the expression of your wishes and desires. And what do you think you will manifest? It means not only you're conscious just for 5%, but your 95% with the same programs as the conscious will manifest the same thing. So that means you'll have heaven on earth every day, whether you're thinking or not thinking, because both conscious conscious and subconscious will have the same behaviors. And if they have the same behaviors, what does that mean? You say, I'm on a honeymoon without even thinking about it. Great. You don't have to think about it. You're manifesting it, you know? And the idea is, well, why aren't you? Why do we have today's world? Why do we have the chaos? And the answer, I'll give you one of the most insidious programs.
Okay, go for it.
Darwinian theory of evolution. What the hell is that?
That means we get our gloves out and we go beat up on each other and think somehow we're going to become a better place.
Right, because the catchphrase for what is Darwinian theory is a competition for survival in the struggle of life. That's the words. First thing it says, life is a struggle. So everybody buys, yeah, life's a struggle, Darwinian theory. Yeah, that's right. And I say competition for survival. I say, what does that mean? I want more than that person has. Why? There's not enough, and I need my stuff.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah. So the whole world is driven by you're insecure in a world that you're afraid of. Mm-hmm. And your best bet is to accumulate stuff. I go, yeah. I go, well, that behavior leads to what? Destruction of the environment. And today, little math right here, okay? Yes. If we want to support the world's civilization as it's how much it's using today, we require, and this is mathematically true, 1.6 planet Earths to provide for today's civilization. I go, well, big problem, folks. There is no extra 0.6 planet Earth. It says you either learn to live in harmony with this planet, or nature will say, hey, you guys are messing up the garden. Time for you to get the hell out of the garden. Because once people are out of the way, the earth replenishes itself back to the garden it used to be. And so the issue is we are causing our own extinction. And this is a fact of science for 15 years. And I go, is knowledge of science. Is it a knowledge the public has? Nope. Just happily go on and buy more stuff and keep on doing what you're doing. We got a lot of money going here to the top 1%, which is part of the biggest part of the problem.
Yeah, hear you.
So what's the issue? I said, you're not in harmony with yourself or the world. I said, what the issue is? I said, you've been programmed. And I go, is that something new? And I said, scientifically, the facts of how it's done is relatively new. But the fact that it was doable 400 years, the Jesuits have told their followers exactly, give me a child until it is 7, and I will show you the man. I said, yeah, they've said that for years. I go, you didn't understand what they were saying. They were saying, give me the child until it's 7 means let me program the child. That's the 7 years program. And then I say, what did they say? Let me have until 7, and I will show you the man. I said, what was show me the man business? I go, because the program they put into you in that first 7 years will be 95% of the rest of your life. And they knew that.
Where I want to go with this then, there's several key pieces, and certainly I'm going to go to baby Hannah and stuff at some point here, but I'm watching the news today. And the news is like our egoic mind's completely gone awry. And what we're watching today with Israel and Hamas is more, I don't even have the words to describe it. But that's just what we're seeing on here. There's been Sudan, there's been Ukraine, there's been all over the world.
Today's war, which is today's war? Because we got tired of the Ukraine.
Yes.
What do we have? One? Oh, today's war is the new, and it's even better than the previous war. Pay attention.
And people are watching it as entertainment. I will say that people are. But what? First off, what is going on in our subconscious? If I look at Israel and Hamas, and we're gonna take that as a current day example here now today. What happened in the programming that got the two, and I'm putting it in quotes, sides, because there are no sides on a round planet, but got the two sides into this match. And how do you reprogram to get us out of this?
I got an answer. You got question, I got an answer.
That's why you're here today, Bruce.
The answer is a child is programmed by its parents. And the fact is, the programming controls genetics and behavior. A lot of people think, for example, that cancer is caused by a gene. I say, no, it's a program. There's no gene that causes cancer. The gene is associated with the cancer. It itself does not cause the cancer. The cause of cancer is disharmony, basically, with your life. Okay, I go, so what? I said, programming. All of us got programmed, and it's passed from generation to generation. That's where the idea that genes were passing down the traits. Why? Because it went from generation to generation to generation. Everybody goes, oh, genes, they're passed from generation. So there must be a gene for Alzheimer, a gene for alcoholism, a gene for, cancer, heart disease. Fact of life. I'll give you a fact of science right here.
Yeah.
Less than 1% of disease is connected to genetics. I go, wow. We're in a healthcare crisis all over the planet. I go, yeah, because stress is the cause of 90% or more of disease. And the world is in a state of stress. When I say, where's the overall stress that you haven't heard about? Lack of knowledge, lack of power. We're so out of harmony with the environment that we are destroying the environment. I go, so what? And I say, we are creatures of the environment. If the environment doesn't exist, we don't exist. And I go, wow. I say, what? We're facing what is called the sixth mass extinction of life. I go, what is that? Well, obviously, there were 5 previous mass extinctions. I go, what happens? I say, a cataclysmic event hits the globe and can wipe out 90% or more of life. 5 different times. Life was thriving and boom, something happened. The last one, 66 million years ago, when the dinosaurs were here and the environment was lush, tropics, forests, jungles, and all that. I go, then what? A asteroid, a comet, so to speak, hit near the Yucatan in New Mexico, in Mexico. I go, so what's the issue? It was a giant comet. I said, what did it do? It disrupted life on this planet. It blew up. I mean, the impact of that giant thing just shook life all over the planet. Everything changed. I say, what happened? Environment changed so much, all the dinosaurs disappeared. Actually, 75% of every living thing disappeared on this planet. Last mass extinction. Today, we're facing the 6th mass extinction. And the issue, which is different than all the previous other ones, which were natural events, human behavior is disrupting the web of life. We polluted the air, we polluted the water, we polluted the soil, we're ripping the resources, guts out of the planet. And then you're wondering why. Why are we facing a problem? Because we're destroying the garden. And we are the garden. And matter of fact, to get an understanding, we have to go back about 10,000 years when the indigenous people, sort of like the Native Americans, the indigenous people in our land. I said, well, what was different? I said, they were the ones that said, this is a garden and we have to be gardeners. And then that whole philosophy was upturned when Europeans came and they killed all the damn buffaloes and they killed all the beaver and they killed anything, the redwood. They kept killing everything because, well, the planet just gives us this stuff. And I go, you're destroying a web and we are a link in the web. We cannot live here when this environment is in a state of collapse, and it's in a state of collapse. And I say, so what? Does that mean the end? I say, no. You as an individual are a creator. I said, so what? And I said, step out of the creation that we currently live in and step outside and recognize there's a better way to create a world on the outside.
I want to dive into that. However, I want to go to climate change for a moment.
Yeah.
And to me, frankly, everybody, I love you. The climate's changing. Yeah. It's not political. It's completely changing. And we all know this. However, it's too much maybe it's just too much for the conscious mind, but I've seen when scientists come forward and say, hey guys, look at this summer. We already crossed 1.5. We've crossed this safety mark. We've crossed that safety mark. We didn't even realize what aerosols did. By cleaning up the air, we actually spiral things even faster out of control. This is a complete chain reaction, completely out of control. And what people do is go tilt and either go, there is no climate change, or we ostrich up and we put our heads in the sand.
I love it, because did humans create climate change? The answer is we didn't create it. Climate change is a periodic thing on this planet. There have been ice ages and they disappear, and then ice ages come back. Tell me that's not climate change. That is climate change. Yes. We are in a climate change. And I go, yeah, but here's the problem. Our technology and the way we are living on the planet is accelerating the climate change, making it worse than it could ever be. And that's our behavior. So I didn't say we create it, but we are sure as heck exacerbating it, making it worse than it should be. So
we got the pedal to the metal.
That's it. And it's time to say, wake up. You can't keep destroying this, because that is that destruction. The rainforests in Brazil are the equivalent of lungs on a living organism. They filter the air, they clean the air, they take the carbon dioxide out of the air, they put the oxygen in the air, and they send it off to the rest of the world. And then you're going to cut down the rainforest to make hamburgers? Holy crap. You can't do this. You don't understand the balance. That's why we have to go back to the indigenous and go, it's a garden, folks. And a garden, I love this. You ready? A garden is not a battleground. A garden is the height of cooperation. And I go, and we have taken this garden and have created a battleground. The result is we are destroying the environment that gave rise to us. And you can learn to live in harmony and you can adapt, but you have to let go of this system, the one that's collapsing. And I say, that's the bad news. And I say, yeah, but it's also the good news. And I'll give you a simple reason.
Thank you.
The civilization we have is the source of the problem. And Einstein would say, you can't solve the problem with the same thinking that created the problem. And so the point is very simple. The culture that we've created has to collapse so we can build a sustainable culture to live in harmony with the garden.
I got to pause you there, because you just said the culture we're in has to collapse. And people are going right now, I don't
and they do that because they're holding on to the culture as that that's their existence, yes. Which it is. If you make it your existence, it is your existence, and people don't want to let it go. Make it great again. BS, belief system. BS.
Thank you.
That it was great back there. Not necessarily for a lot of people who were slaves, for example. It didn't work out that good. And the impoverished people who came here because they were seeking to come here, meaning USA, a melting pot of all the other people who found it was not capable of surviving where they were, came here as a beacon of this can be the place where we can create something better. We started, and then those programmers that knew, how can we program you? Let's follow what the Jesuits did. Let's give you education. What kind of education? Education has disempowered us. That's basically what the whole thing is about. You think your life is controlled by your genes in some way? It's absolutely not. 100% false. Why? Because it's the mind that controls the genes. And if your mind is you're a victim, then what do you think you just sent downstairs here into your body? Victim. And what do you think is the manifestation of victim? Health issues. I go, yeah, you bet. Over 90% had nothing to do with the physiology or the mechanism. It's you, the driver of this vehicle. And I go, yeah. And I say, your programs are destroying it. And I say, well, how do you know what your programs are? Well, you were being programmed before you were born. You were programmed a whole year from 0 to 1. You remember that? No. You were programmed another whole year from 1 to 2. You remember? No. You're programming another whole year from 2 to 3. You remember? Well, maybe near 3. You might have some memory. But before that, no. And I go, well, guess what? What you downloaded in that part where you have no knowledge of is 95% of your life because it's a program. Now I want to give you a little hint so you can understand where the hell you're having trouble. And I go, and as simple as this.
Yes.
The things you like that come into your life, they come in because you have programs to acknowledge those things. But the things you want and you desire, and you're working hard and you're sweating it over it. I'm putting in a lot of energy. I'm going to make this happen. I'm working hard. Why are you working so hard? The answer, that destination you're seeking, is not supported by your program. You're trying to work against your own programming without you're even the broadcaster of your own programming. And all of a sudden it goes, so why is this important? And the answer is, it's the program of disempowerment. You are not a victim of your biology. You're the master of your genetics and your health. That's the fact of life, okay? Oh, you're so focused on material possessions. You got so much. Guess what? You had to rent a storage place to what? Stuff. Put it in that storage over there. I go, why do you have so much stuff? Because I'm competing. Okay. I go, why are you competing? Because there's a struggle. And I said, do you know that your competition is the cause of the struggle? That's, I go, why? Step outside and guess what? It's pretty peaceful. But if you stay in that war room, then the war is yours. Go ahead, turn on the news and watch it and see how good you feel about this. And what about the other wars that are now not on the first page? As you said, Sudan, Ukraine. Hey, they're still going on. Oh, yeah, but the new war is fresh. I go, you're in a bad cycle here, folks.
So there's a term that I use if too much information is coming to me at once. Now, I don't know if it's a real word or not, but I use the term intimidato, which means I've hit overwhelmed. I've hit full. I'm intimidated by everything. Now I make it a fun word because I'm going to have fun and find my way through the intimidato.
If you're not laughing, it's not going to work in here,
Exactly.
At this.
But we're all intimidato right now. We are all mind blown. And so I bring it back to the fighting du jour, and I am not making light of it. Of wherever people there is strife, I'm not making light, at least. But how do we change? So I'm viewing, and I'd love your opinion on this. I'm viewing everything on the external as what's taking place on the internal. And we can think of us as a human beingness. There is one human being, and that is our subconscious mind and programming fighting over there's not enough. So how do we switch that so that we get out of this? First off, we've got the atrocities going on with wars, and then we've got the atrocities of the pedal to the metal of buy as much as you can, make as much as you can, burn as much as you can, head for the cliff as fast as you can, while I'm guessing that the oligarchs are busy building their bunkers for the day the place goes ba-boom.
That's funny because somehow they must think that they're going to be here and everything else goes to hell.
Yeah.
They can't be here either. And you know what? They live in their own prisons. I go, what do you mean? They're the ones that have all the safety, burglar alarms, the whole thing, the protection, the guns, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And they want to protect themselves from what? All the stuff they accumulated. Janis Joplin, freedom is, that was nothing. Freedom is nothing left to lose. And that's a true statement. But the point about it is what? We have been programmed. I say, you're still being programmed. Why? You're watching the damn news. I go, why is that important? Because the news is not free. It's paid for by the people who benefit from what they're telling you. And I say, so what's the point about war? I'm afraid. Oh, Jesus. You know why that's the problem? Let's go back to the first organisms on this planet, bacteria. I go, so why? I say, there's something called, and this is important, you don't even know about it, lack of knowledge, lack of power, the biological imperative. What the hell is that? It's a requirement, the biological requirement. I say, what is it?
Yeah.
There's a drive to survive.
Absolutely.
What do you mean? I say, you threaten even the most primitive organism, a bacterium, you threaten it with some, put poison or whatever in the environment. You know what it's going to do? It's not going to go, oh, okay, kill me. It's going to do everything in its power to stay alive. There's a drive for that bacterium to do that. It's not random. Hey, okay, kill me today. No, every bacterium wants to live just as much as you are, and I guess so why is important? Every organism for bacteria to us, biological imperative. What's the point? If there's a threat on your survival, your behavior changes 100%. I go, why? Because there's growth, which is open, take things in, whether it's love or food or whatever you want in your life and you like it, you take your arms, you open them and you take them in. I go, that's growth. I go, yeah, what about protection? Oh, no, protection, you close yourself off and you block yourself out from the world.
Yeah.
And I go, when it was designed, it was to run away from a saber-toothed tiger. And it's debilitating on your biology to be in that stress. But if it's a 10-minute run and you escape the tiger and you're safe, then you go right back to growth again. But today's world, you're not in growth. Watch the news. You'll be afraid of every damn thing. I go, what does that mean? Are you living in growth? Or are you living in protection? I go, what's the point? You can't survive in a protection state for a long period of time. It's chronic. And I say, what is it? It's stress. Why? I'm under threat. I said, what are you doing? I'm getting ready to run. I said, where's the threat? I don't know, but when it comes, I'm running. And I go, well, here's the problem. Track stars who run, and they go on that oval track and they run. I say, when they're at the starting line, there's 3 commands that lead to them running. The first command is on your mark. And that's when they get down their hands and knees and they dig their feet in. And what are they doing? They're getting ready. This is because we're going to jump. Okay. And I say, great. So on your mark is number 1. Then I say, number 2, get set. I say, what's number 2? Get set. You know what it is? Get ready to run. Get your muscles gauged, like, the power is ready. The muscles are, you're standing, you're rigid. You're not relaxed.
Yeah.
Now you're in a, get ready. Get ready. It's sort of like when I used to mess with my mom's car and race it. You step on the gas at the same time you hold onto the brake.
Yes.
And lurching, but not going anywhere. And I go, and then go. On your mark, get ready to run. Get set, your start. Go, release. Today's world has you in
There's no
get
go.
set. Get set. No go, but get ready. Because I'll show it to you on your news the day you need it. I'm going to show you what you're going to have to do, what's going to happen. But I'll scare you between here and there. And then you'll be all ready to run because something's going to happen here. And you're going to get ready to run and you're not getting go. And I say, what is that? That's stress. I say, what's the result of that? Even the most trained athlete, when at that starting line, and if on your mark, get set, holds, if get set holds, that athlete will collapse on the starting line. You cannot hold, get set. And yet we're being asked to do that every day. Your muscles, your consciousness, your attention, your stress, you're just looking at the world. Where's it coming from? What's going to happen? But I'm ready. And I say, that chronic getting ready, that's the cause of disease. So basically, they got us in a state of fear. And I go, now I say, so what does that mean? You ready? When you're afraid, you will give up your power.
That's the problem.
And you give up your power in whatever they say. I'm the victim, so whatever they say, I'm going to get ready and listen because they're there to protect me. I go, yeah, they're there to take your money. That's what they're there for, folks. And the reality is, we're living under a get set world with no go in the imminent time, except enough news to keep you in the get set world because you don't know when that bomb or that, those terrorists are going to be in your backyard. And you get ready. And I say, disempowerment, man, the whole thing. Why? We're the ones that are creating the environment. And we're the ones that are creating it. And I said, well, you can create the violence we have, or you can fall in love and create heaven on earth. That was a choice? Yeah, that was a choice.
I want to take this, Bruce, to a place of empowerment. You've got the news, which is disempowering. You've got all of this strife outside of yourself that is disempowering. How do we step back in the driver's seat as we'll put it in quotes, reality is that systems are blowing apart, people are blowing themselves apart?
That's the reality if you stay in the system.
Thank you. How do we get out of the system?
Do I watch the news? Why? What the hell am I going to benefit? Am I going to change the world by me watching that story? I am alert to what's going on, but I don't care to get into the story.
Amen.
I know there's war going on. Why? because those, like in the Middle East, you brought that one up. That's the one today. I go, guess what? This isn't the first year they're in war, folks. They've been in war for hundreds of years. I go, why? Because way back there was a split. And there was like two brothers that don't like each other anymore because they came from the
Abraham,
same
going
source.
back, you're going back thousands of years. There was a split of two
not
brothers.
Even 1,000 years, but a long time, folks. I go, so what? When they split, there was anger with each other. And I go, so what? I said, well, that anger, when they had children, they passed that anger on. So their children were angry with them as well. Their children didn't even know what the hell happened, but they're programmed now not to like those people because the father didn't like them. I go, so what? I said, well, then that was passed on to the next generation and the next generation. I gave a talk, University of Tel Aviv in Israel, and we brought in 300 plus Palestinians from the West Bank that were never in Israel.
Wow.
And we're in a big auditorium. There was like maybe 1,000 or more people in that auditorium. I gave a talk on the nature of childhood programming, which we've covered a little bit, just mentioning it, and how the program of that first 7 years determines the rest of your life. Jesuit story. Give me 7, I'll show you the man. I go, and I was giving that lecture, and I came down to the biology of it. I didn't talk anything personal, political, nothing. I'm just talking biology, how programming, blah, blah, blah. So they have it in their mind. Yeah, programming is an issue. I put on the next slide, and it starts out black screen with just writing on the top. It said, the problem. And when I pushed the advance, 2 pictures side by side showed up. One, Israeli boys playing with machine guns, and the other one, Palestinian boys dressed in military uniforms carrying guns. And these are kids. And I said, what are you training these kids? At that moment, in this giant auditorium, you could hear a pin drop because it dawned on them for the first time, knowledge. Oh my God, I implanted that into my child. And both sides at the same time saw this. And I showed it to them, and that's when it got deadly quiet because it sunk in. For a moment, oh my God, we're perpetuating this issue by passing it on to our children, who pass it on to their children. And then, so the next slide is black screen, the solution. And I showed next 2 pictures show up. An Israeli girl and a Palestinian girl walking down the road, arm in arm with each other down the road. The second picture was an Israeli boy and a Palestinian boy playing together, having a good time. I said, look at this. You know what? Those kids will never fight each other. They know each other. They're not one day you're going to say that's the enemy. They grew up with them. They learned each other's languages. They learned each other's part of their culture, the Israeli and Palestinian culture. And I say, well, where is this? I said, there was a school that I was there, and talking to the people in the community about it. And it was called the Garden of Abraham. I said, what is it? What's that? I said, Abraham was a prophet for both the Muslims and the Jews. Same guy. So the school is called Garden of Abraham in Jaffa, Israel. And I said, well, what happened? Palestinian families, and this is for kids like kindergarten, right? Nursery school, kindergarten, okay? Palestinian families send their kids. Israeli families send their kids. The kids play together every day. They learn each other's language. They learn each other's culture. They're kids. They're playing every day together. The teachers are Palestinian and the teachers are Israeli. Why? You can't separate them because that separation was where the problem came from. And the point about it is what? Most peaceful community in Jaffa is around that school because the parents also, they send their kids to the same school. The parents come together. And it changed the attitude of the people in that community at that time. And I go, and even mayors from other cities, when we put that big program at the university, and they saw the result of kids growing together in that Garden of Abraham, they also started to reach out and said, we want a Garden of Abraham in our neighborhood as well. And the point about it is what? Kids who play together will not fight each other. So is that simple? I go, yeah, it's about that simple, folks. Except they hate each other, parents, and they won't let their kids play together. It's like, well, then guess what? Next generation's coming along too with what? The same damn programming.
I don't want to put us in a place of victimhood, but I look at the decisions being made by those in power, which are to pull away those opportunities to play together, to keep us in a state of fear, to keep themselves in power, in money, in all of it.
Knowledge is power. They're the ones with the knowledge. You're the one with the lack of knowledge. The 1% has got the knowledge of how to take the power off of everybody else, and they've sucked the resources into their pockets. How can somebody have 20, 30, 40 billion dollars when there are people like when I'm in India and kids are in the garbage pile looking for food
and no water?
And the water, oh my God, the Ganges is the most polluted water in the whole world, except for maybe the Nile, which is just as bad.
3.1 billion people without access to fresh water.
How can you sit here and throw away your food and then say, well, screw them? It's like, we're humans. The word human is derived from humane, and humane is compassion. And compassion means we're here to help each other, except when you get division that makes money off of division. The U.S. arms dealers, they make money on both sides. They sell it to both sides. What the hell do they care who wins? Why? They're selling it to both sides. They don't give a damn. As long as the war's going, I'm making money. But whoa. Is this what we want? Or is that the small group of those that knew the power of knowledge? Is what they want.
Somehow I get to rewire my subconscious, and we need to go there, Bruce. Somehow I get to treat myself better, and we get to go there. Somehow, no matter what age my kids are, if I have kids, for instance, I've got a 17-month-old, and I am certainly hearing I can do even better, Bruce, because the messages I give her are awesome, except not always the messages I give myself. Uh-oh, she's watching. And not always the messages between my wife and myself. Uh-oh, she's watching. And not always the messages my wife shares as well. Uh-oh, she's watching. So I get to work on all of that. And at the same time, is going down right now. How do I change the consciousness or the subconscious of the whole planet at the same time? Because these aren't ethereal out there. We don't have many more generations, Bruce, to play with.
No, NASA scientists have given a date on a scientific foundation with this, listen, an irreversible collapse of industrial civilization, 20 years. Irreversible is the word I want people to understand. It's not MAGA, make it great again. That's a bunch of BS. Belief system. It's the kind of consciousness that brought us to today. You don't go back. We change the consciousness, and this is why everything that hasn't been dealt with for generations is coming to the surface. Race, religion, politics, philosophy, education, all those issues that aren't working are coming to the surface. I say, why? Because in the next level, we have to compensate and not put them back under the carpet and not deal with them like we've done for generations. We have to clear the air. We have to learn to recognize that each human is a cell in the body of an evolving organism called humanity. Just as much as I have 50 trillion cells in my body, and everyone goes, oh, cells are not intelligent. I mean, anything less than human loses intelligence. And when you get to the bottom, how can a cell be intelligent? And I'm going to look at you right in the face. I'm going to tell you this. Cells created us. We're a community of 50 trillion cells, if you didn't know it. We look at single entities and I go, you are not a single entity. The cell is the sentient being, and our body is 50 trillion of them.
And you hit a key word, community.
Community is the breakdown of communities, breakdown of health. That's where the health crisis is coming from. Why? When you're healthy and happy and living in love and harmony, 50 trillion citizens in your body are celebrating the life that you would like to have. But if you are not in harmony with your world and disharmony in the relationship, disharmony in the environment, disharmony in the community, that disharmony is a vibration that will also impact your cells, and they will become disharmonious. So illness is not a reflection of our physical mechanism, it's a reflection of the environment that we've created. You want to change this, you have to get out of that environment. You have to let it go and say, I can't go to work every day that this is a rat race and I got to step on the other guy's throat so I can survive and screw him. Nobody says that, but that's built in underneath the programming.
Well, it's fascinating. You go to a toll booth, you go to an exit, you go to a here, and people aren't thinking, well, this person needs to get home as well. I'll let them in. You're like, there's no way in hell you're getting in front of me. And that is, you might as well load up the guns and the missiles, because that's actually the same message. I'll get mine before you get yours.
Look at the articles of people. I went to the wrong house and I got shot by the owner because they thought I was invading their house or something. You know, how many did I hear? More recent things. You know, like a bunch of girls messing around. Some guy shoots them because whatever he's out of issue with. You know, and all this violence and all this. Why? Violence keeps us from getting together in harmony. If you can't be in harmony, you can't create the world. If you're just an individual and I say, I would love peace, let me go out in the street right now. Okay, universe, give us peace. I go, I'm one person. But if there's a certain number of people that get together and say that, then there's a level of manifestation. Okay. And the idea about it is then what we have to do is get into our own communication, our community. Why? Get in the groups that support the kind of world that you want to live in. Because each person, their brain's like a tuning fork sending out a vibration. And if it's a vibration of love and harmony, it only resonates with something that's also with love and harmony. But if you send out a vibration of fear, it will only resonate with something that you will fear, and that will be activated in your life. You didn't know you're creating it. Quantum physics, yeah. What are you broadcasting? Love or fear? Two different universes right there, depending on which one.
So let's do this. I don't know if you've ever been asked this before, Bruce. We've got a 20-year clock. What is the 20-year plan, according to Bruce, that is going to bring us to the other side of this, rather than if we go watch the news and get some sort of nocebo effect, which is going to bring us to the end of this?
That is a terrible place to go to get your knowledge, because it's manipulated to sell a point. You know, so for example, in today's Israeli war, the U.S. has taken a posture that the Arabs are the bad people. I go, well, then look at the news. Everything is, they're the evil, they're the evil, they're the evil. I said, you know, they were pushed into a corner where survival was not capable. They were being pushed off of their land by new colonies. It's like cancer spreading through their land. They've been put into the lower class second thing. Here's a simple point. You walk into a room and there's a rat in the room. You know what the rat's going to do? Look out. How the hell can I get out of here? How can I get out of here? But if you get that rat in the corner and there's no way out, you know what that rat's going to do? Jump in your face. It's a program. It's like, go for the face, man. And that would probably freak you out enough where they can run out of the room then. But the fact is, you push them to the corner where the only thing they could do is strike back as much as they could. They had no alternative where they could go.
Bruce, there's one line, and I don't pick sides on anything because there are no sides. There are no sides. All beautiful, amazing people, all individual cells in the cell of human beingness. And there was this line from the Prime Minister of Israel a few days ago saying that we are going to destroy the place, and you need to, and warning everybody to get out. Get out to where? There's no water, there's no food, there's no power, there's no borders that they can cross. Get out to where? And how do we expect a higher level outcome? I want to demand more of our leadership. Well, actually, we've got to be the more, because the leadership is trying to keep themselves in power.
Exactly. And the money is there. That's where the money is. And the leadership has the money to shape the behavior of everyone else. I only know we only have a short time, but I've been teaching immunology in the postgraduate level for the last 16 or so years. And when the COVID story came out, I was like, oh my God, this is it's not I was afraid of COVID. I was afraid of, I know what's happening here. You know what happened? We as people only have power in community. During the COVID thing, it was the absolute devastation of community. Can't talk to each other, put a mask on. Don't go collect with each other. Stay away. You can't even see your own parent in a nursing home if they're going to die, or somebody's in a hospital. You can't go in there. And all of a sudden, separation, disempowerment.
I
And
hate to use this word.
the whole planet was disempowered as people.
I hate to use this word, Bruce, but there are two words, and that goes to the wars as well. Power grab.
It is. It's totally what it's all about. And it started so long ago because there's a playbook. And I say, what is it? You ready? First scare them and then sell them the resolution. Okay. When did this start? Well, when somebody came up with the idea there was hell. I go, what do you mean? It was an idea. What, did anybody go there? No. But it's a picture. Dante made a bunch of pictures.
Yeah.
I said, what does it do? Everybody got afraid. Why? Oh, there's the hell. I said, who said that? These people. And I said, well, they were the ones that gave us a lot of nice truth, but they also gave us the hell. I say, why is that important? Because now you're afraid. I say, then what? You're going to give up your power. I'm going to say, then what? They're going to charge you. How much? 10%. It's like, that's the tithing. Give me 10%. We'll give you this story, how not to go to the place we created, and we'll send you to the other place we created. And I go, if you understand the new biology, this is heaven. I go, what do you mean? It's a place of creation. I said, why is it important? I say, ask anybody their interpretation of heaven, and you're going to get a different story essentially from each person. I say, that's their creation. I go, yeah, but then what's the real heaven like? I go, here it is. I go, what do you mean? This is a place where we create. I go, oh, looks like hell. I go, are you creating from your wishes and desires, honeymoon? Or are you creating from media? I go, if you're creating from media, then I'd be afraid too.
What's the 20-year plan then?
20-year plan is basically this. There's two fundamental things that I think everybody needs to know as knowledge base. The science of epigenetics. Get out of the belief your health is out of your control. You are the master of your genes, your behavior, and your health. If it's not working, it's the program that is causing the problem, not the genes, okay? So number one, you have power over your own creative ability in this mechanism. Number two, something I learned, I never believed in it. And number two was what? Spirituality. I go, spirituality?
Thank you.
I go,
Thank you.
isn't that churchy stuff? I go, I don't go there. I go from where? Quantum physics. I say, why is that important? Everything is energy. I go, so what?
Yeah.
No two people were receiving the same energy broadcast. I go, what are you talking about? I say, I can't put my cells into Michael's body because his immune system will say not self. Michael can't put his cells into my body because my immune system will say not self. Well, let's start off with this. The immune system reads something that says self and not self. And when I started to look at it, your cells are a set of proteins that are called receptors. You got on the skin. Look, where are your receptors? Eyes, ears, nose, taste, touch, pain. They're all in your skin. Receptors read the environment. The cell has a set of receptors outside of the red blood cells. That's why we can exchange it. That's a different story. Your other body cells have a set of receptors, a set, not one, a set. And they're called self receptors. Okay. Now, back in the days of the conventional physics before quantum physics, they said, oh, it's the physical things that make us different. The self receptors are physical. That's what makes you different. And then I say, no, we're in the world of quantum physics where everything is energy. And I say, so what? These receptors are antennas. They receive a signal. I said, what's the point? No two people have the same set of self receptors. I go, so what does that mean? Each of us is receiving a broadcast from the energy field that is different than the other person is receiving because they're tuned to a different station. I go, when I started to read, I said, oh my God. Bruce, I look at my body here. That's the Bruce television set. Because Bruce is a show that's being picked up by my self receptors and shared in the community of 50 trillion cells. We're all on the same broadcast. We're all watching the same show. I go, why is that important? I go, here's the part that's cool. You're watching a TV and it breaks. We say, oh, the TV's dead. Doesn't work anymore. I go, yeah, that's true. Did the broadcast die when the TV broke? I go, no, broadcast's still there. I say, how would you know? I say, well, you can get another TV, tune it to the right station, and you're back online. Reincarnation. Been here before.
Yeah.
but our TVs are different. I go, the TVs are not us. We're the broadcast. So I said, does it make a difference if you're in a male TV or a female TV? I said, you're not the TV, you're the broadcast. Does it make a difference if I'm in a white, brown, red, yellow, black TV? I go, no, that's the TV. You're not the TV, you're the broadcast. And this is quantum physics. So all of a sudden I realized I can't die. I'm not even in here. I'm a broadcast. And then I go, so what? You know that story of heaven?
Yeah.
You don't die and go to heaven. You were born here. I say, why? This is where you came to create. I say, but are you creating your world or are you creating the program? And the unfortunate story is, yeah, we are the program, all right. And then we also look at the red pill and say, I got out of it once, twice, three times, whatever. And when I was out of it, you know what? It was heaven on earth. I go, it was always heaven on earth until you step back and let the program take over. And then it's not heaven on earth now, it's your program. And that's been manipulated. And the idea is, well, we need to change that program. So we don't have a lot of time left. So let me go quickly into how do you change the program? I said, how'd you get the program? I said, the first 7 years, your brain was in theta, low vibration, wires on your head, electroencephalograph, reads brain vibrations. The lowest one is delta, that's sleep. The next higher vibration is theta, that's imagination and hypnosis. Then the next one is alpha, oh, that's calm consciousness. And then the next one is beta, which is schoolroom focused consciousness. So as a child, you built up the vibration. So the first 7 years you were in theta, you didn't get to consciousness till around 7. So I go, oh, yeah, and the first 7 years was programming. Why? Theta. I go, yeah. So I said, well, how do I get, if I want to change the program? I said, get back into theta. I said, well, theta, that's after I fall asleep. Come home from work, busy, full consciousness, beta, relax, home, calm consciousness, alpha. And when you're in bed and all of a sudden those eyes close, guess what? Alpha is shut off. You're now sleeping. But the next period of time before you get to delta, which is absolute sleep, there's a period you're in theta. You could put earplugs or earphones and play a program you want to be true in your life. And I say you play it when? Just before you fall asleep, you put the earphones on, whatever, you put the program on, fall asleep. Why? Because the moment you fall asleep, you don't hear what the program is, but the subconscious hears what the program is. It's still working. It's still in theta. So you repeat this because theta is not a long period. So you need to, at night, repeat the process. But after a number of nights, guess what? You reprogram yourself. What you had to do? You have to go to sleep. Okay, I can do that one. That's a lot of work. I can do it. Go to sleep. Let theta download. That's how it works. So that's called self-hypnosis. It's the same way we got the programs in the first place. Okay. Number 2, you still got programs, habits. That's what the programs are, habits. After age 7, I said, well, how'd you do it then? Because you're not in theta. I go, oh, practice, repetition. You want to drive a car? You better practice before I go in the car with you. You want to play a music instrument? Well, it takes a lot of practice until you don't have to practice. Now you can play the music instrument. And I go, oh, and anything you want that you don't have, you have to practice it. Okay. And I go, well, how do you do that? Well, I love it because it's a silly phrase, fake it till you make it. I go, what the hell does that mean? I go, well, let's say you're not a happy person all day. It's like, I say, then what do you do? And I say, all day long, as many times as you can remember, you say it to yourself. I am happy. I am happy. I say, what are you doing? Practicing, repetition. You'll say it for a period of time, and then one day you'll wake up, you won't have to say it. Why? Because practice makes habits. And there'll be a day you'll wake up and you'll be happy without even saying, I am happy, because it's a new program that you put in. So those are 2 ways. Both of those take time. And there's something so important now because necessity, the mother of invention. We have a necessity, as you brought up, Michael, we got to change fast. And so there's new technology for fast change. It's called energy psychology. I go, what's that? Processes that engage like a super learning. I go, what's super learning? Well, a child under 7 does super learning. I said, what does it mean? They just need to experience something once and it's in the program. They don't have to repeat a lot. They were in a super learning state. I go, so how do we get in that super learning? What happened? So this is an important point. Under 7, there's a line right down the middle of the brain. And we talk about hemispheres, left and right. But each hemisphere is associated with different function. Like the left is associated with intellect, words. Okay, the right is associated with emotions, feelings. Okay, when you're under 7, both hemispheres are functioning at the same time. So every experience you have under 7 has an intellectual component and an emotional component to it. Okay, now if they're good experiences, then you have good emotion. If it's a bad experience, then you got a very bad emotion. But they were downloaded that way. Okay, after age 7, they don't physically separate, but they functionally separate the hemispheres. I say, what does it mean? It's called ultraradian, and it's like a wave during the day. Some part of the day, for maybe a couple hours or more, you're in the left hemisphere. You're thinking, you're working, you got the words, you got all that detail. And then a few hours later, you're in the right hemisphere, and that's more emotional, and that's feelings, and that's a different approach, okay? But it changes like a wave during the day. So what was the point? You're not in both hemispheres after age 7. You're in the left, you're in the right, back to the left, back to the right. I say, yeah, but if you want super learning, you bring them together. Aha! And when you bring them together, you can get back into a super learning state. Like, so why is that important? How long would it take to change? You ready? I want you to hold on. How long would it take to change a belief that has disempowered you for 40 years? How about 10 minutes? 10 minutes, walk away with what? Another life. Using what? Energy psychology. Energy psychology doesn't go over your history. It doesn't give a damn about your history. Why? You're here with a program. How you got the program? Totally irrelevant. You're here with the program. So what's your point? From here, forward, not backwards. From here, what do I want? Why don't I have it? Program. Change program. Okay. And the moment you change the program, you have changed your creative part of your life. And this is really wonderful. And I'll give a plug to the one I have on my website, Bruce+Lipton.com.
Yep.
There's under resources or belief change modifications. There's actually 3 different versions. One of them is a listing of about 25 or even more new energy psychology modalities, different ones. There's a paragraph to describe the modality and a website so you can go seek an understanding of that. Okay.
I'm an athlete, and some of the sports that I do involve
getting hit by cars.
Bruce, you didn't have to go there.
I know, but there was a lesson there, and the lesson is rebuilding yourself to become what? A teacher.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the hard lessons make the better teachers. Okay.
I could not agree with you more.
And so you have a lot to say, and that's why we'll sit back and listen to you.
Well, thank you. I'm thinking of crossing hemispheres. I'm not sure if bi-hemisphere is the right term for it. I love skating because you're crossing from one side of the midline to the other. I love swimming because you're crossing from the midline to the other, and it puts you in a different flow state.
Yes. And what if you engage them both at the same time? Then it's a super learning state. And that super learning state, the program that changed my whole life. Look, we all got programmed. I got programmed. By what? Watching my father and mother, and that was how I'm looking for life. And my father and mother had a dysfunctional relationship. So what do you think I downloaded? A happy, loving romance ability? No, I learned bad programming. And guess what? I couldn't get a relationship off the ground for 40 some years. Why? Because it would start out nice honeymoon, but then it would break down where all of a sudden I start playing the program and my so-called partner would go, I don't want this. I'm out of here. This is why 50% of marriages end in divorce. They started not with programs. They started with what each one spiritually from their conscious wanted to experience, created the honeymoon, and then over some short period of time or long period, depending, the programs came back. They were never in the relationship until at some point down the road they are. And if they're not good programming, then your partner sees one of your behaviors and goes, who are you? Where did that come from? And then you have to recognize whatever you just said. You didn't even know what you said yourself. Why? It was a program and you were thinking, and you're going, what are you talking about? Now we have an argument. And guess what? That's stage one of honeymoon breakdown.
We get to own ourselves. And so I will own that there are still programs. I've done a lot of work, but there are still programs where I dance the Magarena from my family. And I get to do even more work on that. And I go into automatic writing every day in the theta state. And I'm doing a lot of rewriting work in that theta state. But what do we do with a partner who we recognize they're their family, because you cannot change another? And doing so, now you want to talk about survival of the fittest, Bruce.
And unfortunately, this is a very serious part. And I'm glad you brought it up, Michael, because I said we are built from the root word humane, which was based on the word compassion. Okay. Dolphins are very humane and live in a community. And if one of them gets sick, because they're air breathers, they have to come up to the surface, the other dolphins will lift them up, part of the community, to help the one that's weak get the air they need and then bring them back down again. And that's a compassion, to take care of the one that's weak. And I go, we have lost that part of our system. But we have to get back into that understanding. Why? Because we want to help other people. And then I go, well, now the monkey wrench, and I go, what is it? A person can only be helped, listen to this, when they want to be helped. And I say, you cannot help somebody who's not ready for help. I go, so why is this important? I say, because you'll put your energy, you'll put your love, you'll put everything into help this person because you are a compassionate human. I go, yeah, but if they're not ready to receive it, then everything you just did was a waste of your time. And it will lead you at some point to be so disheartened about it. It's like, it doesn't work and blah, blah, blah. And I go, when they're ready, they'll be there. If they're not ready, you can't get them. You can take the horse to water, but you can't make the horse drink the water. You can try to get your person to this state where you would love to see them healthy, happy, doing well, but you can't make them get them. When you got there, you gave them the information. Did they use it? You can't make them drink it. It's like, and the point is, if you know this, then you start to change the behavior of helping them, and to change the behavior of helping them by you live the best damn life you can live, because at some point they're going to just keep observing you and going, I love it. It's called the Harry Met Sally effect. And I go, what was that? And it's that movie, which I just love. Sally wants to show Harry that she could fake an orgasm. He said, you can't fake it. They're in a diner. And all of a sudden she goes through all the movement, and all the other people in the diner are looking at her. And I love it because the waiter comes up to one of the women at the table and says, what do you want? And she looks at him and says, I want what she's having. And that's actually what the point is. If you are the one that is having that great life and you have close friends, there's a point where, okay, what are you doing? They asked. Doorway open. You have opportunity, but you can't make them open that door. And if you do, you'll generally push them away even further, because if they're not willing to change and you keep pushing change on them, they're going to go.
So the last main point I have, bringing it full circle to baby Hannah. At the beginning, you were very excited to talk with me about programming and our kids, and we call her our Hannah Bear, 17 months old. And you said thermostat. And I said, hold that thought. We need to come back to that.
I got to do this quickly, but it is important. Okay.
Okay.
Like in your house, you have a thermostat for the temperature. When it gets to the right temperature, it shuts the machine off. Okay. There's a thermostat built into your brain that reads stress hormones, but the setting on that thermostat is variable. You could put the thermostat low, so just a little bit of stress comes in, boom, shut it off. Or you can set the thermostat real high, and it takes a lot of stress hormones to get to the point to shut it off. But there's a point where violence kicks in. That's where stress leads to violence, okay? Violence is not a natural state. It's a result of a person who is so afraid of the world that they're setting up here looking for the fear before their stress hormones are like looking like that. And I say, but if they're way up here, by the time those stress hormones reach a certain point, they'll be violent to protect themselves or whatever they need to do. I say, yeah, but why did that thermostat set up there? And it turns out there's a reason. And it's this. It's called somatosensory affection. Somato, body sensory affection. I go, what is that? When a child is held physically and loved with physical holding, not like fighting holding, but physical holding, they get security. The security is, I'm safe. I'm in the hands. A child lives by the touch. If the touch is loving touch, that means you're safe. The world's safe. Everything is good. They have a lot of receptors for stress hormones. So what's the point? When you have a lot of receptors, it doesn't take much stress hormone to say, oh, that's enough, shut it off. So a child that has this assurance of safety from physical holding and touch from the very beginning, okay, that's safety. Their thermostat is set so low that when the stress comes up, it shuts off. They're not stressed. But those children that are not held that much, that's a disconnect. A child is now alone, no connection, insecurity, safety. I go, so what does that mean? They don't make so many receptors for the stress hormones. So I said, what does that mean? Well, they have so few stress receptors that it takes a lot of stress hormone to activate those few. But by that time, it could turn be violent at that moment. It's called SAD, S-A-D, somatosensory affection disorder. That's the cause of violence. And that loving and holding, and it's different in different countries. So, for example, in Italy or in Spain on the Mediterranean, they hold their kids, they love their kids and all that. In England, for example, the parents don't even raise the kids; they give it to somebody else to raise the kids. And I say, what's the difference? That in Germany, for example, are not physical holding families. That's not part of their culture.
Okay.
What's the result? They're the more violent cultures too. Violence is associated with not being able to shut off the stress response. So if you have a child, your job as a parent is to assure them of the safety of their world, which is holding them in a loving way. They can feel what loving holding is. And loving holding stimulates more receptors to shut off that thermostat faster, so the child isn't stressed the rest of its life. And
it also goes to the power of a hug for all of us.
100%. 100%. That's why massage therapy is so important, because it gives you a moment of safety. Somebody's touching you, it's safe, and the skin is taking it in, going, oh yeah, I missed that, man. And that's what it's all about.
That's why I say we have a right to bear arms. I know I need to let you go.
Maybe we can do part 2 of this in the future.
I would be honored.
I so appreciate the opportunity. I really wanted to thank the audience, and you should thank them sometime, because they're opening up to you for the knowledge that they need to get through. And so I always like to thank the audience for their attention, their time. They put their time in to listen to this. And I love to do that, because it's like, okay, you're participating. If you're just sitting there watching, you're participating in the game. You're the teacher, and I just happen to be a visiting lecturer. I'm visiting lecturer today on the Michael Show. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Lots of love, Bruce.
Okay, thank you. We'll talk again soon, maybe.
I look forward to it. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, dive into the subconscious, begin reprogramming today, and above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! What a special, beautiful, important timer is going, but there is not just hope. There are things we can do about it. And how does it get any better than this? I also love that he was talking about theta, because I teach a program through automatic writing, getting you into that theta brainwave state to help you to reprogram your subconscious. You can find out about that down below. That's at automaticwriting.com. And I have a 4-week-a-month program through the School of Mystics, where we are doing such amazing rewiring of the mind, getting you to the upper room, looking at the world from a higher perspective. Yes, I get very excited about it. How does it get any better than this? Where you find your home, you find your tribe, you find like-minded people below, you find the support to help you to shift your mind, to get to a different place, to use your mind as a creator and discover who and what you truly are. That School of Mystics, you can find the link for that down below. Of course, if you simply want to raise your vibration up on a daily basis, go to dailywoohoo.com. That's dailywoohoo.com. Love you guys so much. Here's the link, the next amazing show to help you to shift your life and for help us to shift all of consciousness and above and beyond all else, shine bright. Woohoo! How does it get any better than this? Lots of love, everyone. I love you.